pressed your way in this atmosphere. I proclaimed at the beginning of the year. So you got to give me 1 second to do this. I've got to be my authentic self. I've got to be the real me all the time, 24/7. So in the spirit of my authentic self, let me say to those of you who are the peculiar people who made your way against all ways, who got yourself here to Florida, who went through snow, ice, and everything else to make your way to Florida, here it is. Listen to me. This is your year. I know I do have something planned to say, but I've got to say this. This atmosphere, hear me now. Those of you who can go with me, just do that. But this atmosphere had already been set up for you. There is already all the provisions you're going to need to do everything you've been called to do is set up in this atmosphere. You just needed to walk in the place. Your life will never be the same. Yokes have been destroyed. Curse of poverty, gone. Sickness, disease. I know we ain't supposed to talk about that at the launch. I know it. But I am telling you, I could not get this out of my spirit for months, that there is a release in this atmosphere. And I will hear the testimonies. Some of you going to get it quick because you came ready. Some of you is going to be a minute because you still playing over in your head how bad it took and whatever happened to get you here. Let it all go and get here. Be present. If you here, you here. I know we're in a business meeting. I know that. I got it. But I do know about an atmosphere. And I do know when the atmosphere is set in charge and the right people walk through that door, everything that was impossible before becomes possible. Everything that didn't happen becomes able to do it. You become strong. You have the spirit of might on you, that you are able and mighty and well able to do everything that's in you to do. Somebody say, I'm in the right atmosphere. I'm in the right atmosphere. Tell your neighbor, I don't know what you came to do. I came to get mine. You're special. You're unique. You're different. See, that's why we're partners. And you have to always know. See, you never judge accomplishment by numbers. Oh, see, that's a dangerous thing. See, you can always get some folk to come to something, especially, something free. You can get a lot of people, but you're not always going to get a lot of dedicated partners. So I'm grateful for the partners who sacrifice, and that is why I have been praying for you. And I know God is going to answer that prayer. He's already doing it. Somebody say shift. Somebody say shift. I know it's going to move you from where you were to something new. You can't tell me. My title is this. Let me get right on in here. Strong finish, strong faith. That's what I'm talking about today. Strong finish, strong faith. Now, when you get in this type of atmosphere, you might do some things that you don't ordinarily do. And it becomes so important that you open your mind to new experiences. As I was driving down the A1A, those of you who are familiar with that, if you're staying at any of those hotels on the beach area, that's the A1A. And as I was driving down the A1A, I looked out and I saw Rodney Madison walking down the street with his workout gear on. Early this morning, 7:30, I saw you walking down the street. And I said, well, I'm sure he does that at home because he brought it here. But to be able to do that and look at the beach at the same time, you can't tell me that didn't do something to your vision. Did it do something to your vision? I know it did. See, that's the key. You've got to be able to continue the persistence that you've already had, because, see, the persistence will set you up for long-term success. So you've got to be able to do it even in a new atmosphere. This is a new atmosphere for us in Florida. And I'm the first one to tell you, I know I'll come to a new atmosphere and I'll do what I got to do. But if I need some help, like I called my man. Where's my man? I called Ken Palmer. Is Ken around? I know Ken somewhere right here, Angela. Where is Ken? He's in the back. They said, y'all remember the Chase? When we do everything at the Chase before? I called Ken from the Chase. Flew him out here to make sure we get it the way we like to have it. So give Ken a hand. Thank you, Ken. Somebody say strong finish. Strong faith. Number one, you've got to be a strong force. You've got to be a strong force, which means that you have to be unstoppable. That means that nothing can stop you, nothing can deter you. When you are on a mission, nothing should be able to turn you around. Think about what it took to get here. That mission that you had to accomplish by coming here. What was that? What did that involve? And all of that will help you to remember that you got to be a strong force. Be unstoppable. I remember in my early years, I wanted to be in Essence magazine. And I would call up to Essence all the time. I wanted to talk to Susan Taylor. I used to read her articles in the spirit, and I just loved Susan Taylor. And I thought being in Essence magazine would help our business grow. And this was the early years of Traci Lynn. I'm talking about 1992, I believe it was. And I was calling around, couldn't get through, and she wrote a book. And she wrote a book called In the Spirit. So I figured I would go and buy a book, and I would have a chance to talk to Susan Taylor so that we could get in Essence magazine. So I went and I bought a book, and of course, you know what happens at book signing. Somebody's there to help you. They open your book, let you sign, and move you out. Now, they were moving me out too quick. I couldn't even tell them my story. I couldn't even get it out. They moved me out, and I had to think. Now, what would most people do? See, most people would get that one book and say, okay, well, this is not the way. This is not an open door. This is not, the Lord's not going to use it this way. He's going to get me in another way. But see, when you have a sure word and you know it's your time to be in something, you've got to be unstoppable. So I had to think, while I had her in my presence, do I just walk away and wait for another opportunity, or do I make another move? Somebody said, make a move. Make a move. So I had to go to the side. I had to think about this. Now, what was I going to do? I already got my one book. She didn't talk. She didn't have time. They moved me along. What should I do? And after I stood there for 3 hours, still never got an opportunity. They said she was going to go to lunch and come back. So I went to the table, and I got, I think, 150 books. I bought almost all the books they had. Bought all the books, and I said, they said, well, what are you going to do? I said, I need her to sign each and every one. Somebody said, be unstoppable. So they said, do you have a list for each and every one? I said, no, let me go on the side. I said, okay, let me get this. I thought about everybody's names. I started asking all the people who were there, what's your name? I started putting every name. I knew every name I didn't know. I got a list of 150 names. And when it was my turn, I stayed to the end. I shut the line down. So she had to sign 150 books. She had somebody come and rub her shoulders. I said, you just right, work her up, work her up, work her up. They started working her up, and I gave her the whole story. And she said, my God, anybody that would do that deserves a space in Essence magazine. Somebody say, be unstoppable. When I moved here to Florida 6 months ago in August, I was so excited. Didn't know anybody, not from Florida, didn't know anything but Fort Lauderdale, Miami, and the Sawgrass Mall. Anybody know about the Sawgrass Mall? Yeah. Only 3 places I knew about. So I rented a place right on the beach, beachfront, come on y'all, villa. Oh, come on, yeah, you know Dr. Lynn's going to do it right. So I rented a beachfront villa. Oh my goodness, the water, the scenery, it was just breathtaking. Moved in, woke up the next day, saw something I ain't never seen in my life. I saw a bug, y'all. about this big with some wings and an antenna. I'm not going to get too graphic on you right before lunch, but they called them the giant oriental. There you go. Y'all finish the rest of that. That thing had wings. CB went to go get it out the shower and start flying all around the shower. How many of y'all know I was out that house? But CB told me, come on, brave it out. Come on, put your big girl panties on. You can do this. Going back in there. Okay, I went back. I stayed. CB flew back home. It was just me and Sid. And the next morning, I woke up to more of them in the house. I don't even know what happened. I think I called Harold over. He had to come and get them out. I went to work. I mean, I'm working, I'm interviewing, I'm setting up an office all in the middle of this. Then the next day, I had my son there. Sid was there. And he woke up. I made him go. Now, he's 8 years old. I made him go scout out to see if anything was around. So he had to go scout everything out. He went in, turned on all the lights, saw everything. Mommy, don't come out. It's not safe. There's a lot going on out here. I told him, Sid, you know I'm not coming out there unless you get this together. So he had to get brooms and spray and get it all together and clean it all up. This went on for 4 days. Then one day he woke up. He had bed bugs, all bitten up. His face was swollen. Then another day. I mean, it was like 5 consecutive days of this. One day I went out and saw all this, and he was cleaning up, and he looked over at me. He said, "You crying?" I was crying. He said, "Are you crying?" I said, "No, I ain't crying." He said, "Mommy, I know you're not crying over this. Are you crying?" He said, "Mommy, aren't you the one always say you got to sometimes get a setback to get set up for your comeback?" I said, "Yes, I do. I do say that. Pack your bags. We're out." And we moved 5 times in a matter of a couple of months. I had to live in hotels. I had to do all of that. But I had a vision. I was working on something. I was told to do something. And I had to see it through. Do we stop because things don't really go the way they're supposed to? Do we stop because some have gotten to the airport, because I saw it on Facebook, and their flight was so delayed they turned around? Do we stop when things are really not convenient and they don't go according to the plan? Do we stop when we can't make it all the way through at that moment to the finish line? Do we stop because we're knocked down for the moment? But how many of you know you always win because it's a fixed fight anyway? See, sometimes those tests come to see how bad you really want it. Life will pay you any price you ask, but it will first test you to see how bad you want it. And are you ready for this? Sometimes some things can come on us before we're ready. I don't want anything before it's time. You want to be ready. Somebody say, be unstoppable. You've got 12 months. 12 months this year. 12 months to write 12 chapters of your new book. Each month is a new chapter. So what's it going to say? I know your chapter for this month in February is starting real strong. Real strong. Why? Because you showed up. Somebody say, be unstoppable. Be unstoppable. And you've got to have strong vision. Number 2, strong vision. Somebody say strong vision. When you have strong vision, you can see things that people can't even possibly see. You can see beyond what people see even when they see you. See, sometimes we're so busy trying to convince people who we are instead of being who we are. Because when you are who you are, you don't have to announce it. You don't have to convince anybody. You don't have to say anything. I've been going to a local church here with a pastor who's on the Word Network, who's a big pastor here, big pastor. And I have been going for months. No, I don't go in. Oh, here we go. See, I don't go in trying to say who I am for you to seek me in the front. Oh, I just don't do it. Okay. I just don't. So I wasn't saying nothing. I just been in the back, just doing my own thing, because really, say what? Okay, anyway. So I've been going to the church, and I was going and going and going. And then this one particular Sunday, I was sitting a little closer to the front. Now, I wasn't sitting in the front so anybody could see me, because surely that was a day. You come on, ladies. You have them days you don't want nobody to see you. I had a hat on over real low over one eye, had a ponytail over to the side. Look, and it wasn't cute, though. I went on. It was not a cute day. Real casual. I was just going. I just needed a word. So I was just going. I was sitting there, and it was a good word. And I thought I saw him looking at me. And I said, no, he ain't looking at me. I said, okay. Because then he went over to the other side. I said, okay, yeah, okay. Because it just, you know how you see somebody and they're just staring at you? And I said, no, he ain't looking. Okay. And then he was coming on this side, and he was talking to the people over there. I said, okay, yeah, he didn't see me. And when he finished and he got back up in the pulpit, he said, is that Dr. Traci Lynn? And I looked, he said, yeah, with the hat cocked to the side. He said, I see you trying to be incognito. You didn't think I saw you. But there is a sign over your head that tells people exactly who you are. See, I know sometimes, I don't have a problem with self-promotion. I mean, this is what we have to do in our industry and in our business. But I tell you what, there are gifts inside of you. There is greatness in you. So many good things you have in you. And there is a sign. It cannot be denied. I know sometimes you don't think anybody sees you. Well, sometimes they may not see you because you're hidden. But when you're hidden, and then when it's time to be exposed, there is a sign over your head that cannot be denied. Somebody say, I see the sign. Oh yeah. See, there is a sign over your head. One of my classic stories about vision is that I was living in this particular home in New Jersey. I was living in New Jersey at the time. You know, that's why it was a little hard for me to make this move, because over the last 18 years I've lived in New Jersey, Delaware, Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, just still in the same surrounding area for a long time. It's been over 18 years since I moved from Detroit to the Philadelphia area. So anyway, and you know, we get so comfortable in our comfort zone. And when you get so comfortable in your comfort zone, you set it up where God can't really bless you, because if it's not the same people, if you can't do it this way, we dictate how things should go. Sometimes you're going to have to leave everything that's so familiar to you and what you've accomplished in your own mind to get to the greater stuff. See, some of us are so comfortable. I know you got your house. I had my house too, still got my house in Pennsylvania. I mean, we get our houses, we get our properties, and we get so set. We're going to stay there for 30 years. You start declaring that thing out of your mouth. You start speaking that. Well, what else you got? Because see, after so many years, don't you want something else? And what else does God have for you? But you get so stuck and you can't move. You can't get, well, I tell you what, when they bring that launch back to Delaware, I'll be there. Well, then you ain't going to be there. Come on, y'all, get unstuck. We got to get unstuck. That's a part of you coming out now, outside the comfort zone, coming here. We get so stuck. And I'm talking to me, because it was easy for me to just start reminding myself. Now, you didn't move 5 times, and you got a house, you got a little circular drive. I mean, your stuff is paid for. I mean, and you really over here dealing with this when all you got to do is fly back. The partners in Delaware would be glad to have you back. I know Maryland would be glad to have you back. Everybody will welcome you back. Nobody would think about what happened out there. They wouldn't care. They'd be glad to see you. But how many of you know that you got to press? See, that's a part of being unstoppable, strong force, strong vision. Anyway, I've always had big vision. Sometimes my vision was way bigger than where I was right now. And I would step out. My husband would always, try to pull me back sometimes, but I was always, stepping out on big faith. And I remember we were living in this particular house and just glad to be there. I don't even know how we were really there. You know how you look back on your life and say, how did I even do that? I think I had just turned 30. It was a $500,000 house, very nice, all of that. And we were living in this particular property, and I had some ladies from the church coming over to clean because they asked could they come. They had a business, and they came over. One was the boss, the owner, and she brought another member of the church, which I usually like to keep things private, but okay. So they brought him over, and the guest that she brought to help clean, she came into the house and began to weep. And she began to sob and weep, and I went over to her and I said, what's wrong? And she just said, this is so beautiful. Oh my gosh, you wouldn't even know it when you see you that this, you had this beautiful home and all of these things. And then I'm saying, well, if you're seeing this, means that God has this for you. And I'm patting her on the back and still saying, now we're gonna get this house clean. But anyway, patting her on the back and okay, now all right, you good? All right, you good? You good? All right. Now this is this room. And I started showing her, and then she saw some of my motivational tapes and CDs. I said, you know what? Why don't you take them? She said, well, how much is it? I said, no, it's a gift. Let me sew this into you. Thank you for cleaning my home, because it sure took them like an all-day thing. But I said, thank you so much for coming and cleaning my home. And she hugged me. She began to weep again, so I had to walk her out to her car while she was weeping. I mean, it was, but all praise God. Okay, going now. So she went on. This was a Saturday. She came to church Sunday, and I was smiling. I felt good. I encouraged somebody to see more for themselves. She came up to me and said, excuse me, we need to talk. I said, talk? Sure. What you need? The tapes? There was something wrong with them? Everything okay? She said, yeah, everything's okay with that, but I just want you to know that you are not better than me. Hear me clearly. Now. Because you're real up in my face with that. I took a step back, started singing this little light of mine. I'm going to let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. And then she started getting closer. Wait. I said, wait. Just stay right there. Right there is good. Right there is good. Stay right there. I told her, I'm sorry that you feel that way. You didn't even know I had it. According to you, that you just was so shocked because you didn't even know it. But see, what happens is this. See, that's why you got to be very careful about who your friends are. You got to be very careful about who you share your secrets with. Because see, birds of a feather flock together. And then as long as everybody's in the same situation, as long as everybody got the same stuff, and as long as everybody got the same problems, as long as everybody ain't got much, everybody happy together. See, in Numbers 11, it said, we were like grasshoppers in our own sight. See, she was the one with the grasshopper mentality. I never projected anything on her. She projected on herself. So I learned a valuable lesson. That's why you can't take everybody into those places. See, that's why you can't show everybody everything, because they're not ready. And they start to judge you based on their own lack, their own inefficiencies. But I want to tell you, in order to have strong vision, you got to be willing to go alone sometimes. Some of you need to go home and evict some of your friends. You need to serve eviction, because we allow people to occupy that rent-free space in our brains. And you thinking about that, and you've got big things to do. I couldn't allow her to make me feel bad for accomplishing some of my dreams. I couldn't allow that to happen. But it didn't affect me that way, because she wasn't close to me. See, when someone close to you, see, that's why you got to be real careful about who's close to you. Who do you allow to speak into your life? Who do you allow to talk to you, to give you advice? Isn't it funny we go to the broke folk for money advice? I said that fast, I know. But I started sitting out on the balcony, and I was, oh, here we go. You can never get too comfortable in your current beauty that you don't strive for the next level of accomplishment. You can't, y'all hear that? You can never get so comfortable in the current beauty that you don't subscribe and move forward with the future vision. Y'all what I'm saying? See, that was the current vision, and it was beautiful. But when we get too comfortable in that current vision, I'm working it out in my head, because my mind goes a lot faster than my mouth can catch up. That's a current vision. But then there's always the future vision. And you know, I was just, I'm thinking, I'm coming back to that story. I'm just putting a pin in that. I was thinking about my cousin Brenda, who said when she was on a visit and we were down at the beach house, and she said, what you going to do next? You going to Florida next? You going to Florida next? And I'm looking at her, and at that moment, Florida was only in the back of my mind, and I couldn't believe that you were even saying that. But you know what? You were saying that you're always moving. You're progressive, that you don't just get stuck right here, even though it's beautiful. See, and if we just loved and lived in that current state of that beautiful vision, you would never move over here to see what else is out there. So as I was sitting on that beautiful balcony, because after all it is, I started watching people with their jet skis and boats and everything. Then I had CB bring up binoculars. CB get the binoculars, and I'm started watching in the binoculars, looking at everybody out there enjoying themselves. And I would enjoy that. I was looking real close on the boat. I mean, he got these binoculars that are huge, so I could see people on the boats grinning, smiling, laughing. And after a while I said, why am I sitting up here and they are down there? Because that's where the fun is. So I had to get out there. I had to get a jet ski. I had to do some water activities, because why do we get so comfortable with condo living when God has for us to get out there in the mix, get out in the action, come from the balcony and get in the water? Go out into the deep. Don't settle for mediocre. Strong finish. Somebody say strong finish. In order to be your absolute best, to get every single thing that God has for you in this life, wouldn't it be sad to die tomorrow? Meet God face to face and Him tell you about all the great things that He had for you to do, He wanted you to become, and how He wanted you to live. And we live so beneath our privileges. I want you to feel good about moving forward. I want you to know it's time for you to take the next step. Why? Because if you're here in this atmosphere is not just about dancing and having a good time. This atmosphere is about change. Motivating, inspiring, and changing your life. In order to get a strong finish, you gotta start strong.
Thank you for your financial contributions. All donations given this month will receive a thank you gift. To order Traci Lynn products or follow Traci Lynn Ministries, please visit TraciLynnMinistries.com or contact 877-TRACILYN 877-872-2456. P.O. Box 7020, Fort Lauderdale, Florida 33338. Like us on Facebook at Traci Lynn Ministries. Follow us on Twitter at Dr. Traci Lynn. Thank you for supporting Traci Lynn Ministries.
Dream big. Financial freedom.
Lifestyle change.
Additional income.
Be your own boss.
If this is the life you've dreamed of, Traci Lynn Fashion Jewelry is the business for you.
This business is simple. If you can wear the jewelry, you can sell the jewelry.
I've earned a $10,000 bonus check.
I'm able to earn $600 to $800 per show and more.
Visit TraciLynnJewelry.com and remember,
Behind every great woman are more great women.